Welcome to E-commerce with Coffee, a podcast powered by Amber Engine, where we share e-com secrets for brands over your favorite brew. We start with the caffeine and then leap enthusiastically into behind-the-scenes e-com insights that led to the success of our guests. I'm Nate Svoboda, and I'm about to serve you up the best. Let's get started. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of E-commerce with Coffee. Today we're speaking to Christian Kelm. He's the VP of Product at Amalyze, which is this really awesome tool for helping organizations analyze data about keyword search volume and what words are really going to give them the most opportunity to convert sales on Amazon. So Christian, really excited for the conversation today and for you to talk a little bit more about how your organization helps other businesses to improve their selling performance on an ecosystem like Amazon.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show. Yeah, I really happy to be here, and let's have a talk about caffeine and Amazon.
Absolutely. I love that. So today, we're going to be talking about Amazon SEO strategy, defining, what we call products with potential, and how to leverage competitor insights, know what other products in your category are doing, and, how you can use tools like Amalyze to improve your performance on the platform. Now, before we dive into it, Christian, I know it's a little bit late for you, so I'm sure you probably don't have a cup of caffeine, a cup of coffee close at hand. You are one of the most energetic people that I've ever spoken to. Where does that energy come from?
Yeah, hopefully caused by the simple fact that I am not drinking caffeine anymore in a fewer years in the companies. The typical situation, drinking coffee all the day, but at the end of the day, at the evening, you get tired, you get bored by everything, and you are not able to motivate yourself. Okay, so that was the situation. And a colleague of mine went to a doctor, had a deeper talk about energy drinks. That was the topic to the caffeine. Of course, it's also in coffee and in energy drinks. And when we get to know the fact that energy drinks have three typical ingredients: sugar, caffeine, and vitamin B12. And what we have figured out that most of the people have a lack of B12. And that's the reason why energy drink is so positive for a lot of people who are drinking that. And then I have understand the situation and try to figuring out, is it the caffeine or is it the B12? I stopped drinking coffee with caffeine and energy drinks, and I took my vitamins each day. And I've got more and more confident with that. I was late at the day, fit and motivated all over the day. Also in the mid of the day, at the beginning, everything was fine. And when I figured out that caffeine is only getting activated 30 minutes after drinking a coffee. So why is everybody so enthusiastic 2 minutes after drinking coffee? That is just a bad behavior. It's just a ritual that we are going through each morning, but it hasn't to do anything directly with the caffeine. And as we have talked before about it, serotonin, oxytocin, endorphin, dopamine, all that little things in your body are making you happy, depends on what you're doing. Yeah, maybe you start your day with looking into the sun or meditation, or you have your list and get one topic done, or you're watching a funny movie, or you are just cuddling your pet. Four different situations, four different situations for serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine, endorphin, and it has nothing to do with caffeine. And that's the reason why I'm always so on top level and motivated. Of course, I'm not taking caffeine as one of the most important thing of the day.
That's so interesting. Yeah, when you told me that, every time now I go to the store, I'm looking at B12. That's something I'm going to have to evaluate further. But to your point, if you can find happiness and joy in your everyday life, then you don't need the external things to help you feel energized and uplifted. So very cool. I like that answer. So we have a lot of stuff to talk about today, Christian, but as the Vice President of Product for Amalyze, would really love if you could just give our listeners, an overview of what is it that you help brands or organizations do with respect to online selling?
Yeah, hopefully with our huge amount of data, of course, we're talking about 3 billion of ASIN. Don't get it wrong. It's not a wrong translation from German English to English also. No, we have really 3 billion ASINs in our tracking systems and millions of keywords. So we have figured out ways to help sellers and brands to understand more easily the customer language. Of course, what we have figured out over the years that everybody is only looking for synonyms, search volume, and try to be the best on the best or most searched keywords. But nobody is looking directly in the language the customer is using, how they are talking to the search field, how they are communicating with that search field, and what products they are buying at the end. Brand analytics has given huge insights about our theories behind it, had proven us that we are right with our theories and with our data. And so we have changed the thinking process of being the best under a keyword to being the best on the most revenue relevant keywords for sales share or something like that. And so we are helping with education on YouTube or on consulting situations, but most of it we are offering nearly perfect, or from our opinion, nearly perfect data to analyze products, keywords, and customer behavior more into detail than the normal content relevance analysis or the normal auto-suggest analysis.
So we talked a lot, or well, you just talked a lot about what the specific data is you're looking at, right? You're not just focusing on what keywords are trending, you're focusing on what's actually going to help the revenue for your brand, for your product, for your company. Is it enough, though, to only look at what is working on Amazon, or is there an advantage to looking at what is not working, maybe for your own products or for competition in your category?
Yeah, that's the interesting part with that. Of course, we have developed a process where you have a look on the data of all the products you may find interesting. And with the first step in our situation, it's typically called a sales share. You can directly identify, is any of that product you have recognized as important making any sales? So we are seeing a top search volume keyword, using that products, fill it into our sales share report, and we are seeing, oh, no product is making sales under that keyword. We have seen that also typically in brand analytics, the Amazon owned data. We are seeing that in our data, and that's the clue behind it. Of course, we are looking at different points. For example, open up one of the biggest or trending keywords and analyzing with our ASIN extractor the products under that keyword, the SERP site, the search engine result page. On the different side, we are working with tool or not with tool. You can do it as you want. We are looking at the right pricing situation. The SERP site consistency is really, really necessary to understand, is everything black? Is everything round? Is everything in the price scenario of 30 to 50 euro? You have to find that correct filters and details that are matching the products together for your competitive products. When you analyze only that, and the next scenario is, for example, you are looking at the complete category, top 100, or in our tool, the whole category, and finding the products that are near to your own product. Of course, we don't want to see what our products are making success. If we only have a blue cup for coffee and all the other guys are selling black coffee cups, that means we are wrong with our product, or nobody is understanding the customer in the right way. So we're trying to figuring out that situation. And for the let's say bad success on Amazon, there is a simple problem with that from my point of view. Of course, nobody is looking on the situation that creates bad success. Of course, normally, if you're only looking for search volume or also for sales, you only have a look on products that are running. Nobody is looking at stupid, senseless, bullshit products. Of course, they are getting any ranking. They are not getting any ranking. They are not getting high BSR. So normally what is not working, you will not see. And that is one of the biggest problems you are not able to solve with a tool. You have to solve it with your own mindset and with your own eyes to find out, is that product relevant? Has it potential or not? And what I thinking is the best way to analyze that is to have a look on the movers and shakers instead of bestsellers. Of course, the movers and shakers on the lists of Amazon and also to the new releases. I am looking really in that two categories to see what is raising up and what is completely losing all that momentum. And from my point of view, we have all seen it worldwide, fidget spinner. It was coming up, I think, 2017 in October, November. I have seen that trend in movers and shakers and new releases. We didn't have ordered any of them, and it seems to be a good decision. Of course, 3 months later, with a bit of decisions for the right situation behind the product, CE confirmation and so on, the product was really, really simple from trend to no trend. And you just have to recognize that movements. But the normal tool is only focused on successful products, and nobody is making a list of, well, fidget spinners with makeups and LEDs will not work. Somebody has tried it, somebody has failed. No reason to try it again. And that's a problem with the potentials. Of course, everybody is looking for the best potential and not for the bad success. Nobody is looking at that. So nobody's learning from that. And that's the reason why we have developed that sales share for all products. You can also do that for variations of products. So you see which of the children of the variations in the product twister is making most of the sales revenue of relevant sales. And the interesting part from my point of view is now you have 2 possibilities. The one is go with the market. Look at the best selling the number of products, at the best color or the best price segments also. Or you can look on the details, where are the big niches of where is the color missing. From my point of view, let's have a short talk about cooling pads for knee or hand or headaches also. Worldwide, every product is blue. But is not the normal situation for the end user, the customer. Of course, 50% of them are female. Females like different colors, but the market is blue. So everybody is deciding for blue products. We're running directly behind the market and copying everything. We have developed with the customer a pink one, and it's running perfectly from start on. And we are completely unique in our category with that color segment. But nobody will see such a success with the data. Nobody in the Amazon marketplaces is entering the specific colors. They are always cooling pad for kids, cooling pads for this and that. So tool is nice, but not everything, especially when it comes to specific product decisions. You need to be a bit risky about it. You need to put some heart into it, and when you can go.
So it's interesting, you just gave us a great example of a variation with a product, right? It seems like all these products are blue, but you make a different color change, it's going to still sell well, even if the data doesn't necessarily tell you that beforehand. But when you're looking at situations like this, do you prefer to focus on one specific product, like the cooling pad, or variations of a product like multiple colors? Or maybe do you prefer to focus on a portfolio of products? Tell me your thoughts there.
Yeah, that is from one point really simple. If you're talking about cooling pads, when you're normally clean with one product, 3 types of measurement, it could be okay. Of course, the normal search situation behind that product is cooling pad for a different part of your body or a different situation or a different, like children, men, women also. But the more interesting part is the situation behind the product portfolio itself. Of course, there are different products for the eyes, different form, different format behind it. And maybe you can get into that portfolio, into that niche from the situation cooling pads, different formats and different colors. But I don't really like it. Of course, at the end, you want to sell not the quality is the main selling point. From my point of view, what I am trying to sell is really added value. And added value normally doesn't mean better material or thicker material or more expensive aluminum. It's about the usage of the product, the real added value. And so the situation is more interesting if there is a customer intents in the search to buy a portfolio. Kitchen gadgets, perfect scenario. Don't focus on one product. Get the whole kitchen filled up with products of your brand. Or if we are talking about a refrigerator with the different situations with pizzas, with some cheese products, the normal vegetables and the meat. They all need different solutions in your storage system. Okay, and then you can go from that situation directly from the fridge into the board, into the cupboard. Of course, we have cooled vegetables, but we have also the situation of normal not cooled vegetables. You can build your portfolio if a customer needs that. What is not a portfolio is to try to source a garlic press and, let's say, a rope, a speed rope for fitness, or you're trying to sell, let's say, LED stripe and the garbage can. So if you're talking about portfolio, please make sure that it is a portfolio that makes an up or cross-selling process for the customer, and don't go the Me Too copy marketplaces, all relevant products at once. Just try to build and added some value to your portfolio that makes it really interesting for the shopper, for the customer. LED stripe with specific products, deco, environment, or bedroom designs, or little stickers that are gluing or reflecting or what else. But don't try to sell a garden share. Okay, so that's my situation, how I'm thinking about products, and variations only make sense when the customer is really into the product and needs more of them, of that. Or if we're talking about the normal situation, like in fashion, you need different colors. Of course, every customer wants a different color or specific sizes. Let's talk about the towel. You have a different audiences, and you have the babies, the children, the men, the women, the fitness section, and maybe the meditation section, and maybe only the typical scenario in the bathroom. And so you need different sizes and different colors. That is really a no-brainer. No, not a low-brainer. That portfolio is a no-brainer. Okay. Typically, your sourcing agent will throw all that products at you at once, and you have to figure out which color and which sizes are making the most of the sales. And so we come back to our situation of trying to offering new solutions to analyze markets.
Well, it's interesting that, the point you brought up, I can think of so many times where I'm buying something and, oh, well, I need that too. I need that too. And it's all from the same company, because to your point, they've identified when you're making one purchase, oh, this person likely might want this as well. So I absolutely resonate with that. But so you bring up this interesting point, right? That once you're given all of these ideas of products with potential, right? Products to potentially move on or enter into the category, whatever you want to call it. But I'd imagine that you don't want to move on every single one. There has to be some level of prioritization with the opportunities. So what can you do to identify which products with potential are the best for you to move on right now?
Yeah, we have two possibilities to answer. We can go into the nerdy answer, the freak nerd answer, or we can answer it quite simple. You can choose it.
Let's start with quite simple.
Quite simple. It depends on the money in your pocket.
So then let's go the freaky nerdy way.
Yeah, well, the freaky nerdy way is to get it as complicated as possible. We are talking about SERP site volatility. That means how often are the SERP results are changing over day, over week, over months. So what we have to look at is really simple. We have three different products, and three different circumstances behind the search behavior. And we are identifying all the relevant three clusters of keywords. And what we should imagine is you need your money fast, or you need your money growing well over time, and you have enough patience to start without hard launch strategy, without advertising. And what we have figured out is really simple. We have built a tool for SERP site volatility. And that means we can analyze how often there are changes under the specific keywords. And let's say we have that three mentioned products, and product A, the SERP site volatility is really, really low. That means the SERP site is not changing over time. The customer is searching the keyword or the products or the entity around the product and is just buying what is shown. He is not able to think about what he really wants. It's just a simple product. He is taking number 1 or number 3.
Is there an example of a product that readily comes to mind? That
LED stripe. LED stripe. You're just opening it, and number 1 or number 3, maybe the cheapest one in the first 5 or 6 SERP results. You're taking that. Okay. Of course, you don't have that problem of, oh, how long is that one, or is it more colorful than that? Let's say fashion T-shirts also. And the other product has a really, really high SERP volatility. It's changing all the time. Of course, the customers are all using the same word, but buying all the time different products. And now it's becoming interesting. Let's say the third product is something senseless, is highly mixed, volatile and not volatile. And now the situation is really simple. If there is a high volatility, so a lot of mixing and mixed up, shuffle the SERPs, you're really able to be easy on top. Of course, all the time is changing and the customer is buying different products. So it's really easy to get to first place. If you are focusing on a quick launch without any patience and enough time, you have to look at products where you really, really fast can come up in the organic results. But the problem is it's not easy to stay there, to be all the time under that SERP situation with the volatility, because the customer doesn't really care who is first or which products are shown, because he's searching for his specific behavior. I think normally we can call it, it's all about the specific taste of the customer, okay? But the other situation is, from my point of view, more interesting. It's a bit competitive, and you don't have to be fast. Of course, if the SERPs are not changing, that means the customer is searching for that word, and the products that are shown are absolutely perfect fit in price, in color, in shape, in feature, offered feature, in added value. And when you are able to get a bit more added value or a bit more relevance, let's say a portfolio, brand, or usage, or external traffic, TikTok, Pinterest, Instagram, all that stuff, and you're getting that short trend came up, then it's really, really simple to stay there. Of course, the SERP site volatility behind it shows over the time. If you are there under the first, let's say 10 products or first site, you will stay there. You need a bit of patience and a bit of external ideas to get enough traffic to build up your product under that SERPs. But if you have got it, then you can lean back and enjoy your wonderful product. Of course, if you are really looking into nerdy details like SERP site volatility, you will come up with absolutely new market strategies for the different situations.
You know, when we talked through the tool that you have the other day, you actually showed me Amalyze, and it was really impressive. But I'm really impressed with how you just characterized that. I mean, in terms of being able to verbalize something so complex, because we were looking at the tool and I'm still scratching my head like, oh my gosh, how does that work? Now, So we've talked about the importance of taking a look at, your competition or what others in your category are doing. So that can help with determining products to put in your lineup. That can help you with the keywords for, what you use as your SEO strategy.
Yeah.
What other parts of your Amazon sales strategy can you use this data for?
Well, the important situation is, for example, to understand, as I said, the language of a customer. What we are often seeing is that everybody is thinking in the ways of synonyms, finding synonyms for products. We have built up an own tool where you can enter one seed word, and we will find all relevant synonyms for you. Of course, the problem is, if you are sitting in your bureau and somebody is saying, okay, optimize that LED stripe, nobody is thinking about deco for bedrooms. Of course, it depends on your specific knowledge about products and usage of products in all households worldwide or on your market. So that situation of positive SEO with only your mind and a few auto-suggest looking on different titles or reverse lookups will only show you where the product is placed by the algorithm or the customer in the market. And that's a problem. And we have solved that problem with negative SEO. So what we are offering is a big data situation with all the keywords or the relevant keywords if you're working with a sales share. And we are giving you an overview with all that little bastards, let's say it like this, with all that search phrases. And we will cut all that phrases into the words and count the words and give you an overview what's the most counted word, second counted word, and so on. That's really easy. So everybody understands that. And now we are saying, okay, you are a LED stripe. And here's a word 10 meters, or what's in feet, I think 15 feet or so, or something like that. And when you are recognizing the next term 20 meter or 45 feet, something like that. And when you're thinking about, oh, sorry, I'm not that length, I don't have to optimize for that, even if it is a synonym for a different length. Or if we're talking about the colors, RGB, colorful, colored. Ah, yes, I am. You're clicking yes, and then you're seeing warm white, day white, and the different colors. And you're imagining and you're thinking about, wait. I'm not selling white LED stripes, but I have RGB 16 million colors. I am also white. Oh my goodness, I haven't thought about it. Of course, I'm so blind in my products that I'm not open-minded for all the different situations. And that's why we have built up the negative SEO situation. So you don't have to think about synonyms. We will give it all to you. You only have to think about what you are not. And that's the situation where we are getting every seller, of course, every seller knows what he is not. Of course, he has sourced the product. And that's the way we can solving problems. That's really interesting from our part of view. And the second more interesting point is we are completely getting away from optimization for search volume. We want to optimize for sales. And that's why we have developed our own system to showing the buying power under keywords. So we have a special calculation behind it. And you are not seeing the search. We have also the search volume. Okay, that's not the problem. But the interesting part is when you have a search volume of, let's say, 50,000 per month. Okay, so many searches about a specific timeline. One is Patio Furniture, buying power 1 million. $1 million. And the other keyword, let's see, it's what we have here, also 50,000, and it's Patio Set with 1.3 million buying power. Also, what I figured out for another example was quite interesting. If we are going into an example like furniture, 16,000 in search volume, 800,000 in buying power, but only for example, the chairs are only making less than 1% of sales of really revenue under that keyword. So you have to think about, well, okay, the search volume is high, but none of the products I'm focusing on is making sales behind that keyword. And so the ads and the SEO will lose its relevance. And that's the situation we are looking for. Let's say it more simple. Okay, of course, with data, buying power, and all that stuff, maybe somebody's not getting it. 10,000 searches, 100 sales. Highly competitive, of course, as we all know, only the top or most relevant products, depends on SERP site volatility, okay, but only the top products will get that sale. If we have a keyword with 1,000 searches and 100 sales, wow, that is more interesting. But let's say we have a lot of keywords with only 500 search volume, but 20 sales. And now let's find 10 keywords with 500 search volume and 20 sales. So we have 5,000 in search volume and 200 sales. I'm focusing on 10 different keywords to get most of the sales, where everybody else is optimizing for that top fat head keywords where less sales are highly competitive under a few products. And what we are seeing all the time, of course, through our KPI metric, it's called consistency. We can directly say to you how many of the products you have looked at are shown under that product. So let's see, 4 of 25, 1 of 25. Oh my goodness, only one product is shown under outdoor couch and making 1.5% of revenue. Damn, I've forgotten that I'm also with two chairs directly to each other. It's also called a couch. Okay, get into that niche of keyword. The consistency is so really helpful. Of course, normally you will find really hard niches where you can directly make money. That's the reason why I'm looking more into details.
Well, it's especially interesting because we're seeing I mean, every retailer, every channel, everyone's talking about personalization, right? The consumers are more educated than ever before, and they're looking for what they want. So that absolutely resonates, right? You're with the phrase that comes to mind for me is, throwing spaghetti at the wall, right? Rather than throwing all of the keywords out there and hoping that they stick, you really dig into the data and figure out, where am I going to make the most money? Where do I have the highest propensity to close a sale? Right.
Yeah, absolutely. From my point of view, I'm in Europe. I'm a hard opponent of reviews and giveaways and reaching for the stars. Of course, giveaways is wasting money from my point of view. Also, the review situation. Of course, you're not trying to sell stars. You're trying to sell your products. And if you're placing your product in the right way and finding the correct customer audience, they will purchase it.
Yep. Okay? And I was just going to say, it's interesting because when we talk to our clients, right? I mean, we're focusing on managing product information at the end of the day, PIM. It's not about how do we impact our reviews to get better reviews. It's about setting the expectation with the consumer so that they feel compelled to go leave reviews, right? It's kind of, which one do you put first?
Communicate your added value and don't try to be under all most searched keywords. And I really like that situation. And just for example, we both have the data in our sheet. We have used 4 different products. We have had a deeper look into charcoal grills, pools, swimming pools, garbage cans, and LED stripes. And what we have done is an analysis about specific grills in a specific round form, pools in a specific price range, a garbage can with a specific volume, and LED stripes at all. So we have had a look into a category, into search terms, into specific price range. We have also done that. And what we have figured out is really interesting. We have optimized a few products for search volume, and the situation in average was really cool. Of course, if you're optimizing that products for search volume, you will use nearly 9% of all keywords. What you will get with that is 33% of all search volume. The biggest words, the highest volume, everything is fine. and you will achieve 50% of the sales. Okay, that's fine. That's okay. I don't need all the sales. I only need 50% of the sales. But when we have done it with the same products, the same analyzers, but we have just filtered for revenue share, for the specific revenue under the keywords, and only have optimized for keywords which are really making money at the end. And the situation was we only had to focus to 3.5% of all keywords. Well, it's really not so much. And it's really interesting for advertising and focusing on the real deal words. Search volume, only 30% of the search volume were making sales in that relevant product categories we have looked at. And that is amazing. As you remember, we have talked about 33% if you're optimizing for high search volume keywords. Now we are only at 13%. But we are making 75% of revenue. And that is, from my point of view, a really, really interesting thing. You have to analyze not what is the customer searching for. You have to go one step forward. What is the customer buying at the end? If you don't trust the tool, no problem for me. Just open up brand analytics. Brand analytics is showing the same. The 3 most clicked ASINs are not number 1, 2, 3. The revenue rate of the 3 products are given. As higher the search volume is, as lower the sales rates are. And in the long run, with the more communicated and deeper searched keywords, where the customer is really thinking about what he wants, the sales are growing. That's, from my point of view, really, really interesting. And from my point of view, you can't ignore it when somebody is talking about that, like you have to think about it. You don't have to use a tool for that. You only have to think about it. Of course, that is the first situation to change something. Like with the caffeine, if you don't get the information that maybe your problem is not energy drinks for energy with sugar or caffeine, it's the vitamin B12 behind it. And when you're recognizing that and thinking about that, you will change your marketplace behavior in optimization and the deepness of talk to your customer. Of course, that is at the end what we are all doing, why we are selling products. We need to talk to the customer. We need to understand the customer language, and we can analyze that.
No, absolutely. Now, we're talking about a lot of data, right? Especially if someone's using your tool, there's a lot of information being given to them. There's a lot of stuff they can, use that data to to develop their strategies, to make decisions. But because I imagine that you probably don't have your clients looking at the portals 24/7 or looking at Amazon 24/7, how often, if someone's working with a tool like Amalyze, should they be, looking at the data and refreshing their strategies, right? Like, how do you recommend that your clients go about doing that?
Yeah. From my situation, it's really, really simple. The easy answer is, when your plan has failed, you have to change your strategy. Of course, trying the same and hoping you will receive another result is like Homer Simpson trying to beat that little hamster with electroshocks. I really like that situation, of course. But everybody has that in mind. Trying all the time the same. No, you need a situation where you are recognizing you have failed, when you have to change something. Okay. Normally it's when the money in your pocket is running out. Okay. But what I like to look at is the customer behavior and the changes in customer behavior. Toilet paper, simple example. Toilet paper has a lot of developments over the time. Perforation, it started to get little tiny unicorns on it, or little snowmans, or not a taste, sorry, a flavor to smell. Yeah, but it doesn't change the product. it was still toilet paper. So why you should change your strategy? The core product was still the same. If we're talking about technology developments like the ovens or the induction for the pan and so on. So you have to change, yeah? You have to go with the customer, or smart LED bulbs. That was a huge market 2017, also in the US and Europe also. The behavior in the living room has changed, and so do you have to. And the other situation is when I start to change something is only when I have a look at my competition. I really don't like to use the competition as a high significant factor to change my behavior. Of course, they could do stupid stuff like selling everything cheap to get rid of a product, selling everything expensive. Of course, they are out of stock and try to protect their organic ranking. But when your competitor is starting to push his advertising, don't try to be as stupid as him and go with the bits. If a competitor is losing its grip in advertising, of course, you're seeing your ads are shown more and more and more with impression share report and all that more detailed reports on Amazon advertising. Then you have to change your strategy. But don't get it wrong. That's not a daily business. You will get absolutely what's the word like the Joker from Batman. You will go crazy. Okay. But from my point of view, if you have that question at the right time, start to analyze and benchmark category and data and competitors from that time on. And if you see changes, customer behavior, competitor behavior, price changings in the market, then you have the possibility to change your strategy. The worst situation about strategy and when to change it is when you're not looking at data or something on the market, and then the situation is happening and you have no plan B. Of course, you never have looked on it, and everybody now is selling LED stripes for waterproof for the pool. Well, what I have forgotten in that system, why is everybody now putting the LED stripes in the pool? You have to be deeply and nearly into the customer, into the competition, into the product niches or the product ranges to be agile. I think that's the right word. And then you can adjust your strategy all the time. But you only can change your adjust your strategy when you have one. And you need to communicate it to all your colleagues and to your brand and to your added value to your products. Everybody needs to know and understand the strategy, so everybody understands when something will happen that is against your strategy. Okay, that is my trying of an assumption for that situation.
No, absolutely. And it's interesting to hear you say that, right? I mean, a lot of businesses just try to start working with Amazon and they don't necessarily think long-term about how that's going to work and how they need to develop their strategy, how they need to engage with the ecosystem. I guess the last thing I'd really love is, Christian, if you could tell our listeners, where can they learn more about Amalyze? Where could they get in touch with you and take advantage of your wealth of knowledge as well as, your organization's amazing tool?
Yeah, what we are doing at the moment, we are offering our normal video systems for the German market, over 300 videos. We are starting to translate them to English. What we are also having is monthly, maybe it depends, maybe 2 weekly webinars in English to show our product, to show how to use it. So that is no problem. But what I like most for my personal situation, if you can communicate your problem into an answer, into a question, just send it to me and we will find an answer and a solution for that. Of course, what I don't like is that cooking recipe systems. Copy that, do that, optimize for search volume here, and you will find a product, or set the keyword to 37 cents, of course I said so. That will not work, because if you copy your competitors or any coaches, you will only get as good as your coach is. You will get better. You will get better when you're coach. You will gain better as your competitor. And so you have to try your own things. So from my point of view, we are teaching our tool, no problem. But what I most like is finding solutions for your problems, because when we can talk together, when we can work together, I can show you if you need that data or if you just need to focus on TikTok, Instagram, or another product or portfolio. Most of the answers are as simple as possible if you just try to start with a why, with a question.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. One of the most interesting things I've heard, right? Steve Jobs, he built up this amazing company, Apple. We're focusing more on a product there as opposed to, the higher level ideas of selling on Amazon. But one thing that he said is he didn't focus on what his competitors were doing. He focused on how he could improve the offering and, compete against themselves, right? And Apple competing against Apple. So that absolutely resonates. Christian, really genuinely appreciate all the time today. You've given our listeners and myself a lot to think about. And I really hope we can have you on for future conversations, but I hope you have a great rest of your night.
Yeah. Thank you for being here, and thank you very much. And hopefully we will stay in touch, and hopefully I can answer all the questions we will have after the talk.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Well, thanks, Christian. That's it for this episode of E-commerce with Coffee, powered by Amber Engine. If you haven't gotten your fix yet, be sure to get more e-commerce brand secrets on our website at amberengine.com. And don't forget to subscribe for more episodes.